Good delegate. Siobhan McKinney, present.
Zanavia Gomez, present.
Amelia Federico, present.
Matthew Rathman, present.
William Coates, present.
And Pat, anyone on the line, can you make your presence known?
Matthew Cervera, present.
All right, and then if we have everyone present and we're in quorum, could you get someone to read the mission statement? Pat?
PSAC's mission statement is to support the evolving needs of MSU Denver students by advocating in their best interest to enhance the university's experience and opportunities.
Great. And we'll move on to approving of the agenda. Just so you are aware, for new business number 6 and 7, it was submitted after 24-hour time frame. And so we need a vote to approve adding it to the agenda. So I make a motion to approve new business number 6 and 7 to the agenda.
I second that.
All right. All opposed? Any substantions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It is approved, and then make another motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All opposed? Any substantions? All in favor? The approving the agenda?
Aye.
It's been passed. All right. That was it. Is there anybody online who's here for public comment?
I am.
All right.
Oh, we have it in the agenda. She's not.
What's it?
Margarita, are you here for public comment or for the agenda that we add for the menstrual products?
Whatever is best for you all. I didn't know if I was on the agenda, if you wanted me to speak in public comment.
Oh, well, I already put us in the agenda. I also set the presentation, so they'll be able to present it. If your presentation.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So is she here for public comment or when the presentation's
The
on there?
presentation.
Okay. If there's no one else for public comment, then when the time comes up for public comment, we'll ask again. But in order to get things moving, we'll just move on to new business. So for the first thing on the first item on the agenda, the peer and equity committee presentation.
Okay, great. So you might hear some noise in the background. They're doing some construction in our house. So excuse that. But can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I do hear a little bit of like an echo. Is there a way we could remove that?
Maybe turn the volume down a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you, Brady. You're saving us.
And then I'll just share the presentation on my end.
Are you able to see the presentation, Margarita?
I can't see it from your end, but can I just share my screen?
Is she able to share her screen? Yes, you could share your screen.
Can you all see that? Good. Okay, and then let me see here. And then you all have a copy of the presentation too, so if you want to follow along with that.
At noon, or would it be better to move it up?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I missed that. Were you asking me a question?
Oh, no, I wasn't.
Oh. Okay, just let me know when you'd like me to get started.
You still hear an echo?
It's a lot better now, but I still hear it. But that's okay. Okay, are we ready? Okay. Hello, my name's Margarita Driscoll, but I go by Maggie. I'm the marketing and Okay. I'm so sorry about that. Okay. Can y'all hear me? Did I just get like a thumbs up? Okay, perfect. I'm just gonna put you all on my hotspot because I think they're messing with the Wi-Fi downstairs. So anyway, we've been working on this project now for a couple years, and I'm so excited to share with you all the work that you've been doing, each of the student govs, and the work that the Health Center has been putting forth towards this effort. So let's get started. And then feel free to ask me any questions as we're moving along through this presentation. There's going to be a lot of information, but if you could just, I have your screen to the right side of my screen, so raise your hand or just let me know. So what is it? Promoting period equity. Everyone who menstruates should have access to free period products coupled with education, free from stigma and barriers. So MSU and the Community College of Denver do not offer any free period products in their restrooms, while we know that CU Denver does offer those free dispensers in each of their buildings' restrooms. And so a big part of this committee is promoting that health equity and promoting period equity on campus. So all of our students have access to basic needs products in each of our restrooms, like pads and tampons, similar to toilet paper. So here's a little bit of information on the problem. And these are statistics that I've taken from Colorado, the Colorado Teen Period Poverty Study. And these are from 2024. So nearly all, 90% of female teens in Colorado have started their periods unexpectedly in public without proper period products. Just over a quarter, 80% of female teens in Colorado have missed class due to lack of period products. And then nearly 3/4, around 66% of female teens in Colorado have missed opportunities to participate in before and after school activities due to lack of period products. So there's definitely a huge impact in learning, attending classes, school for our students that absolutely needs to be addressed, and we need to find there's room for improvement, room to grow there. Campus stats. So this information is from the most recent NCHA survey that we disseminated to CCD and MSU students, but just looking at a grand scheme of things as we are a campus in total. MSU Denver houses the most students, but there are roughly 19,890 folks who are menstruating. So that's about half of our student population, student body. So there are a lot of people who are menstruating on our campus, but there aren't free period products throughout our campus that are accessible for our students, especially our students, but also our staff and faculty. So this is the data we collected from the most recent NCHA survey. Unfortunately, CCD was not able to participate, but we were able to collect data from MSU and CU Denver. So within the last 12 months, over half of cis women students had problems or challenges with finances. We have students picking between having to spend maybe $10 on a box of tampons and maybe lunch that day. So, these are decisions that are being made every day that affect folks' everyday lives and their ability to attend classes, go to school, maybe pay for an Uber to school. And, we don't want students to have to be picking between spending money on a basic need and something like taking an Uber to class or going to school or a prescription. So what are we doing about it? So I'm going to kind of reel us back in to a timeline this is my timeline of like when I started here on campus. But this period equity conversation has been happening many years before I started here at MSU Denver. So back in 2023, Gabriel, a MSU student counselor and SACAB rep, asked for our support, the health center specifically, in making period products more accessible on our campus. There's been several shifts in leadership since that point, over to John Nelson, and then I believe Matt, and then Susanna. So, while there have been shifts, oh, sorry, was there a question? Oh, I think it's just my echo. Okay, while there have been shifts in leadership, the need continues from students, and the voice of students continues that there needs to be free period products on campus available to all. So on February 12, 2024, we started the conversation with AHEC, CU Denver facilities, along with meeting with different types of period product dispenser representatives. So how CU Denver is able to financially sustain those period products and dispensers for CU Denver students, where that funding's coming from, who is resupplying those products. And it really does come down to AHEC. AHEC is doing a lot of that work. And so CU Denver does have their private donors that are able to donate to make that happen. But currently MSU Denver and CCP don't have that same situation. So around December, March, Health Center conducted some outreach to some potential funding sources, and we ended up being invited to apply for a small grant of $5,000, which we were so excited about. And so we applied for a PAD Projects 2024 grant cycle around March 2024. We collaborated with TSAC in submitting that grant application. And we were so happy to say that we were awarded $4,000. And since then, we've identified committee members from CU Denver, CU Denver, MSU Denver, and the Community College of Denver to kind of figure out get everyone on the same page. There were some logistical issues that we were working through beforehand that we've worked through since then, and meetings that we've had as a period equity committee in the past, and we've able to kind of land on a general understanding and kind of commitment to action. So this is the commitment of action that we did land on. We're working with looking at 3 different parts of campus. So JSSB, obviously, Tivoli, which serves all 3, and Confluence. And so this is kind of a breakdown of dispensers, what they cost, installation, products. So how many tampons, how many pads we would be purchasing. And I based all of this on, it really is an estimate based off of how many products Rowdy's Corner has been offering students every semester, specifically period products. So it is an estimate. It's not cut and dry. So just for the sake of you all understanding the dispensers better, the product better, and OntFlow better, I wanted to go through these pros and cons for you all. So some pros compared to the traditional Bobrick dispensers is that OntFlow dispensers hold 100 products, and compared to Bobrick, which can hold up to like 30. So AHEC wouldn't be having to refill these dispensers as often, so less time, less labor on their part. OntFlow dispensers have a window on the dispenser, so you can actually see when the products are getting low, when they're out. So again, it'd be going back to AHEC's capacity and their ability to fill up those products. They wouldn't have to take a key, unlock the dispenser, and see if those products need to be refilled. So that's a huge save on time and people power. And then OntFlow dispensers don't have to be filled one product at a time. It takes 25 to 30 seconds to refill those 100 products. when compared to the Bobrick ones. And then tampons and pads are organic cotton. And so when you think about a lot of the pads and tampons that are currently on the market, they're not always 100% cotton, but then organic is just an added bonus. There are certain chemicals in period products that we are working to eliminate, and California actually just passed a bill to eliminate all of those chemicals. And I see Colorado being not too far behind California in making that same bill pass here. So I think being proactive in this is the way to go. So while it hasn't happened yet, it should be something that could happen in the future. And just thinking of the general public health of our students, staff, and faculty, this is probably a direction that we would want to take anyways. And then another pro that I actually don't have on here is that each of the dispensers actually have Braille at the top of their, basically describing whether they'd be receiving a tampon versus a pad. So those students that might be visually impaired, it's a great addition into indicating which products they're receiving so that they have a choice. And then some cons they are a little more expensive because, you know, at the end of the day, we are removing an existing dispenser and, you know, putting that in the landfill. And, you know, the money has to come from somewhere, unfortunately. So, yeah, I laid out all of these basically financials of what it could look like for to get this project off the ground for a semester. And then following that semester, so after the spring semester, looking at the fall, really the only thing we'd have to purchase are the products directly, so the pads and tampons. Any questions about this slide? Okay. So this is kind of a tentative financial commitment per semester. This is taking away, like I said, the dispenser cost and the labor in which it would cost to make this happen. And then the Period Equity Committee worked on coming to an understanding as to what amount each institution would be willing, feel comfortable to put towards this project. Obviously, because CU already has dispensers in all of their buildings, they're not going to be putting as much towards it, really just covering the costs of that Tivoli dispenser. So a lot of the financial commitment would be coming from MSU and CCD. Okay, so that brings me to my last slide. I do want to end this conversation with, or on my part at least, so far we have installed one dispenser, and this has been in the Confluence building. It's fully operational. We're in the works of installing our second dispenser in JSSB. I just delivered it yesterday. And then the Tivoli dispenser will probably be installing and then within the next week or so. So things are happening and we are very excited.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any questions?
No, thank you for the presentation.
I have a question. Thank you so much for coming to speak with us today. I am curious what the ask is for the next semester. So you said there's a dispenser in Confluence, JSSB, and there's going to be one being implemented in the Tivoli. Is there more actions that you would like to see?
Yeah, so I've had conversations with Susanna and Betsaida and Heather, who's on the Period Equity Committee, and a number that we came to that was kind of justified and in a way fair for CCD and MSU. Each institution would be putting forth around $1,500, and that would be for a semester. So it's 1512 would be like the exact number, but thinking about this semester and kind of having it as almost like a pilot. We don't really know how many menstrual products we are going to go through, but I think this will be a really good opportunity to figure out what that number is going to look like. Like I said in the presentation, we're basing it off of how many products Rowdy's Corners goes through for MSU Denver students. So it is just an estimate. But the grant funds that we were awarded did pay for that first shipment of pads, tampons, and the dispensers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you again for your presentation. Take your time out of your busy schedule to come present this to us. We'll be moving on to the next item on our agenda.
I just have one last comment. I'm so sorry. The last thing that I will say is I might suggest reaching out to the University Budget Committee. That is a committee that I sit on, just because the budget, the climate of the budget is very interesting this upcoming school year for the 2025-2026 school year. And so if you would like, I'm sure I could grab your email from Susanna to chat about more budget things.
Love that. Thank you so much. And what was your name?
Amelia,
Amelia. Good to meet you.
likewise.
Susanna?
And for this presentation, I thought it was really important for all of us to like talk about this, because for this first shipment of the 1,500, it will help us collect data for us to gather more funding, because the more data that we have, the more funding we'll be able to have, and hopefully to have extremely more data for AHEC, for SACAP, to see like why this product should be available and free for people who do menstruate. So, yeah. Do you have
Thank you,
anything
that's
to
okay.
add?
No, honestly, I guess any better. Yeah, we're trying to find different, or sorry, hi, my name is Betsaida. I go to the Community College of Denver, and I am the SACAP representative for CCD. I'm also in the committee, so yes, the first dispenser was put on in CCD Confluence, which we are very grateful because it has been doing pretty well. And like Maggie said, the products are going really fast. But hopefully we're trying to find a different way so not all student governments have to pay each semester, because we see that this amount is a lot to ask for each semester. So we're hoping to find a future plan to not have to ask for this much amount of money each semester from all student governments. For having me here as well.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You go now.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for taking time to listen.
Of course, thank you for being here.
Yes, yeah, and we'll connect, Amelia.
Yes,
Bye.
perfect.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend.
Bye.
So yeah, we will move on to the next item on our agenda, the election updates.
All right. They can go before me. I'm not.
So up to you all, whatever we can be flexible, I am here.
Let's have the Goobers. Just out of respect for our guest time, it also says 12, so 6 minutes. I say we vote to move them up on the agenda for the next item.
So yeah, make a motion to move,
second.
to attack its time to right now.
Yes.
The second time.
Seconded.
So any opposed, any substantions, all in favor?
Aye.
Awesome, passed. Hey, there you
You
go.
opposed first, you gotta wait 6 minutes. Well, thank you all for having me here today. If we haven't had the chance to connect one-on-one, I'm Taylor Tackett, students here. I wanted to share a little bit more about the emerging student engagement strategy with you all. We're at the very beginning stages of this process. And so I would say that this is the 50,000-foot view. So just to anchor it, if we get to the end of this conversation, you're like, I don't know what to do with what you just told me. That's okay. Your all's role will really ramp up during this next stage as we talk about what interventions we need across campus. You're scaring me over here. All right, so or do I just tell somebody we need to? I'll be right here. Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, so tell you all a little bit about a developing process and frame the ask for you all. So this is work that's been going on for 3 to 4 years in different contexts. And so this is an attempt to link all of those efforts together. And I'll outline what those efforts have been as we talk about how did we get here. I'll talk a little bit about the philosophical underpinnings here. I'll try to make your face not melt as we talk about theory, but if you do, you can just be like, let's move it. I'll talk a little bit about a 3-year plan and some of the foundational interventions that are already occurring that we're linking together underneath of this plan. So our ask of you all is to really ideate on this discussion today and consider how your college, your school, your program, your governance bodies might interface with this. Talk a little bit more about your colleagues or with your colleagues or with other students across campus about how this looks and getting connected into other opportunities to engage with us. You all are in the final 4th of presentations. Thank you all. I know I was sick last time. I was supposed to present to you before break. So thank you again for rescheduling and inviting me back. But ultimately, we are working towards a presentation to Dr. Davidson that will happen in early February. And at that point, we'll take it back to the Student Success Launch, which is where this lives. That's its home base, to talk about the next step in this process. And likely the next step in this process is a more functional group coming together to plan around those interventions and strategy itself. Third is the ultimate goal here is really consider how we make campus more sticky. Perhaps sticky is not the best word in the world, but the idea is how do we get students to come here and get support for academics, wraparound support structures? What do they actually need to live here, eat here, work here, and thrive here on the Arvada campus? And then last and most importantly, offer feedback directly. One of the challenges I think we've all navigated around this particular topic and coming together as a campus is not having enough buy-in across campus. And so as we talk about some of the foundational efforts in a moment, one of the reasons I believe is because we all weren't talking together and working with each other to create something that was really meaningful for campus. So with that, how did we get here? The confluence. So in 2022, my predecessor started a group which involved student affairs here, College of Health and Human Sciences, AHAC, and CU Denver. And really the question that they were trying to answer is, what does student well-being look like on this campus? Many of you, well, we just heard from Maggie, but also Richard Michio are the leaders of that group, and they've carried that work forward. That group still meets today. Second is in 2023, the Student Affairs Strategic Plan had a functional work group that was led by Petty Gonzalez out of the Counseling Center. And the question that they were trying to answer was, how do we engage our students? And that's some of the foundational interventions that we'll talk about. And then in 2023, in the Student Success Launch, there was also a metric asking us to talk about student engagement as a strategy, but that particular work group was primarily led by undergraduate studies, Elizabeth Parmalee's shop. I was a part of this team, and it really was focusing on what are high impact practices. There's a formal definition for high impact practices, and it's connected to the National Survey on Student Engagement. So it's things like, we know that students will be more successful and more likely to be retained if they take study away trips, for instance. That's an example of a high impact practice at colleges and universities around the United States. So all 3 of these groups had faculty, staff, and students involved in them, and we are trying to couple this work together to create one strong solution for campus. All right, so here we get into the theory. So do we have any human ecology majors in here? Human development? Okay. So this is where that comes from, is human ecology. It's by a person named Yuri Bronfenbrenner. Sorry, Christine. And really what it suggests here is that a person, depending on the circumstances and where they are, will have different interactions or show up differently. So for instance, Yuri suggests that happens in 4 specific contexts, individual contexts. So when I am in a space, what are my individual identities and how do those show up or not show up based on how I perceive the environment? Second, what are the relationships I'm likely to build and continue based on the composition of how we help people find their people here. Third is really this question of community, and you could think of that in 2 different lenses, the Auraria campus community. So what are our policies? What are our expectations? What is the environment? How accessible is the environment? But also the broader Denver community. How do we have anchoring partnerships in the community for internships? How does Denver's environment or the cost of living influence or impact students' ability to be here on campus? And then last, we're seeing this play out on a national stage, the societal expectations situation. So living in the United States, what does that mean for our students and their identities? What does it mean around the changing laws or the changing administrations that we have? All of this confluence will help us understand better how students do or don't show up in particular spaces or particular experiences. So we would connect that with this second theory, which is really around the 8 domains of wellness. I won't go through each one of these, but the idea is that students will find more success depending on the composition of these different domains that they want to engage with. So at no point are we going to say that a student going here at MSU Denver is going to have to check a box underneath each of these things, but really it's about how do they self-select into the things that are going to facilitate meaning making. And so as we think about these two philosophies, I kind of think of it as a crosswalk exercise. So we have the 4 socioecological domains on the x-axis, and on the y-axis, we have the 8 domains of wellness. And then from there, we can look at all of our programs, services, academics, student affairs, any of the external influences that we have on campus that help folks get internships, and we can map them on that system. And ultimately, that will help create a system-wide infrastructure for us to assess whether we're meeting the thing that we promise around wraparound support services for campus. It will also highlight where we have inefficiencies, where perhaps we have the same thing duplicated in 8 different spaces. What would it look like if we actually combine those resources and deployed them? We'd probably have more reach, more interaction with folks. So that will all occur over a 3-year process. So in year 1, which is really what this year is, it's about finalizing the strategy, which is the function of this conversation. So again, this is the very first conversation. It's probably my 23rd time having this conversation. A couple of you have to see it a few times. So I do appreciate your patience with us, but that is the intent, is to have this conversation as a campus and have it widely. And then second is there are already some foundational interventions, which I'll go over here in just a moment, that have already been started. And so finalizing what we want some of those foundational interventions to look like over time. Those interventions are already right now connected either to the Student Affairs Strategic Plan or the Student Success Launch, or particular initiatives that the president is interested in as well. So we'll talk about those really quickly. Perhaps you all have heard that the first 7 weeks of a student's experience here on campus is some of the most foundational time that we can impact their particular experience. And it's usually a good predictor from a data lens, as we were talking about having really great data, about whether or not they will stay here. That's usually the time they're finding their people, they're getting connected to their faculty members and developing those relationships. Perhaps they're getting connected to clubs and organizations. And also during that time, it could be the first time where they're navigating the experience as a parenting student or as somebody who's working full time. And so there are a lot of things that we can do in that first 7 weeks to really make sure that we're not overwhelming students, that can help guide them through their college experience. Second is establish and identify institutional traditions. So we are moments away from being a 60-year-old campus, which in the scope of American higher education means that we're just a baby. So we don't have a lot of, we don't have a lot of institutional traditions yet, but there is a lot of experience that our alumni and our students do have. And so deploying some energy to understand and elevate those institutional traditions to help folks feel more connected to campus. Third is develop a student life brand and voice. So a lot of you are probably highly aware that we developed student-facing communication called The Runner a couple of years ago. And we've evolved that team in student affairs to make sure that there's better communication going to faculty, staff, and students. And the next step in that is really developing a student life brand, a visual identity for us that communicates excitement, but also can help students navigate the Roadrunner runaround. You've all heard that phrase before. I think I've mentioned that in this room before, which really tees up the 4th point. The Roadrunner runaround is a big challenge for our students, and a lot of that means some faculty and staff education, but it also means how do we invite students into our system and help educate them so that they can get the resources they need when they need it. And part of that, which I made up this word, experiential wayfinding, is how we organize that information. And so thinking about how we resolve the Roadrunner runaround is going to be a big piece of student satisfaction. 5th is an engaged pre-orientation or orientation experience. If you all haven't had the opportunity, I know you probably went through your own orientation, but if you've not had the opportunity to sit through some pieces of that again, I encourage you to do that. The orientation team is really revamping the way that they're trying to facilitate orientation as an experience. But I also believe that we have an opportunity to invite students together for a pre-orientation experience where they can meet people and get connected differently. And they can come to campus already having some pathways in, whether through a club or organization, through an academic program, or through social spaces. Sixth is something that came out of graduate studies. So we do not have a first year program here on this campus. That's come and gone over time. So in the absence of a first year program, what would it look like for us to link all incoming students with a cohort of faculty, staff, and an alumni or a student to help them navigate their college experience? If you're curious and maybe a little bit geeky about higher ed like me, you can look, they sometimes call this a class dean at other institutions. And it's an idea that you're going to have a support network that follows you all 4 years that you can tap into, irrespective of the ones that you develop otherwise. So that brings us to year 2. And in year 2, the work that we would be doing would look a lot like establish and align campus-wide efforts under each of those domains of wellness, identify those gaps and efficiencies. So that's the crosswalk exercise that I mentioned before. From there, I think we would make determinations around any programmatic changes. So I believe that this system will help us answer complex questions like how do we support Black students on this campus, for instance. We would launch that student life brand, launch some of our traditions, and launch that pre-orientation orientation experience in the summer of 26. And that would bring us up to year 3, which would be the year that we would work to develop assessment mechanisms under each of the domains of wellness. Again, the data integrity here is going to be super important for us. Right now, we don't have a robust data infrastructure around questions like these around support services at this institution. And so it's also really building up that infrastructure so we can be more nuanced to meet more direct student need more quickly. And then last, if you have been paying attention to the Board of Trustees, you know, or other conversations, some of you have been briefed on this, Residence Life is coming. We will be building a residence hall, and that is set to open right now in the fall of 2027. In no way will having 500-ish bed spaces on this campus make us a residential campus. We're still a commuter-based campus. And so I just wanted to drop anchor that most of this is really centered on focusing on that commuter experience. And then the residential curriculum will be plugged in later into this, and it will be a different experience for those folks living on. So in nowhere we are raising commuter students in this process. Here are the folks that we've met with so far. Again, this is an ongoing list, even though we'll be speaking with Dr. Davidson here next week. The intent is to continue this conversation and mostly have her thumbs up to take it back to the Student Success Launch, share broadly what we've learned in conversations like this, and then work with that team to create the next iteration of this process. You will see that we have gone to some other buy or try institutional groups. This is not a area-wide structure. I want to be clear that this is a method for MSU Denver to do what we are trying to do across our units. But it's really important that we collaborate with those buy and try institutional groups like SACAB, and they also told us about a group called FACAB today, to make sure that they understand what we're trying to do and some of the large-scale campus-wide programming that we will eventually get to as well. So with that, I think I'll take any questions that you all have. Yeah.
Your question earlier in SACAB about another organization to maybe reach out to. You don't have graduate anything.
We apologize. I have to step up to the Board of Trustees meetings to give, thank you, to give some testimony about the Gita space.
Perfect.
So I will be back.
Amelia, if you do have questions, shoot me an email.
I will. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, say that again. Your question.
I was just noticing on the people you reached out to or planning to reach out to, include any graduate.
So student affairs and our work across student affairs doesn't get cordoned off by undergraduate or graduate experience. It is the same thing for both groups. And in fact, we actually have talked with Inga Weffis about this. She is the person who talked about that 6th intervention, the combining faculty, staff, and an alumni to support that group. So there is not a cross-functional graduate group, but if you know of one, I would love to hear it. We've spoken with Inga so far.
I think it'd be interesting to like maybe touch base with like the Master's Social Work program, since they're also heavily into the theories that you're using and might give some better insight or other insight at least.
Thank you. So thoughts or groups?
Yeah, do any of you have any thoughts, questions, or any follow-up thoughts for Taylor?
I know you're probably like, again, what do I do with this today, right now? And it's okay if you're having that feeling. The answer is not a lot. I wanted to give you the background of the conversation. And once we move to this next stage in late spring here, that's where I think the student voice is going to become critically important, because then it's talking about what the actual interventions are. And so when I say intervention, I mean, Rowdy's Corner is an intervention. The Student Care Center is an intervention. Study away programs are an intervention. So how do we understand what the experience is supposed to be and how that is actualized through the student's experience? So that's really the next stage, and I think that's where you all play a very huge part. We have engaged a national firm to help us do those. And so as we get into that particular stage, I think how we communicate and share out those spaces to provide that feedback will be critically important. So I'll definitely want to circle back with you all. And hopefully we can talk about what co-facilitation looks like so you all can be connected and in those conversations with the external reviewers. Your smirk is making me nervous.
So some good surveys are coming our way.
No. We're not doing surveys because honestly, we don't get good response rates on surveys if you have not noticed that.
I totally agree.
And so I imagine a future again. So I think this is all going to go back to student success launch. So I'm sort of proselytizing here, telling you what I will offer back to them. But I think that this is still a likely solution. But we've hired this firm to come and facilitate in-person conversations. So we'll do focus groups. We'll probably have, gifts that we give out as a part of participation, because the reality is when we're only getting less than 10% response rates on some of these things, it's usually the people who are highly upset or highly engaged who are responding. And so we miss a whole swath of what's actually happening across campus. I'm also not in a rush to do this. I think all of these things are critically important to change for the student experience. But the reality is if we move too quickly on this, we're just going to create something else that's not actually meaningful for students. And so even though I know that there is a lot of energy and excitement around some of these changes, I want to make sure that we do them right and do them with as much voice as possible. So that's sort of why I'm saying a 3-year timeline. Even some of our staff was like, what? This needs fixed before April. And I'm like, I don't disagree with you, but we got to do it right and we got to involve the right people. That's incredibly important, I think, in this entire process.
I'm glad to hear that.
Patrick, did you have something to say?
Yes. So I mean, yeah, from what I was listening to, being on the student success launch seems like this is a little bit different in terms as student success launch is more in terms of academic success within the classroom, and I felt like been pretty engaging on that. But just to make just seeing that this one is more for the experience, for the university experience for us students. And then just hearing what you're saying, how we're going to need the student voice a lot. How can we be more involved in, I'm looking at the dates here, and we have not until the spring, really, that we're going to hear anything else. So I was kind of wondering, how can we give our input to help with that experience of the university?
Thanks, Patrick. You're coming out in a little bit, so if I don't answer part of your question, just tell me and I'll try again. I really think the part where you all get involved is in that exactly data and information collecting sessions, right? So we've hired an individual who worked in a role pretty similar to mine at the University of Michigan that has a national consulting firm, and she works with the person who has a job like mine at the University of Miami. So their names are Jennifer and Ryan. And essentially what we anticipate doing is creating a series of opportunities to weigh in on these interventions, probably after we've done some initial mapping with faculty and staff to just figure out where all the programs live. And then from there, I think I could see you all, one of you per each session, for instance, being there, categorizing that information. And then when we sit down to make sense of that, helping us analyze the themes, and then ultimately the structure and strategy about where we put our dollars and where we put our energy. So I think you all have an incredibly huge role to play before the end of spring.
Patrick, did you still have a question or?
No, I was gonna say that. No, that's good for me. I'm ready.
Thanks, Patrick. And I do want to, you did mention the student success launch and sort of their focus on academics. So I just want to contextualize that a little bit because it's really important as we frame this, that it's framed as both an academic and student affairs initiative. It's really a campus-wide initiative. So the student success launch right now, they're spending a lot of time talking about how to enroll, barriers to enrollment, all of those pieces, incredibly important work. And this is also involving academic affairs too. So a really good example is we know that one of our more impactful programs is the honor program. Megan Hughes leads that program. Every year they facilitate what they call different levels of interventions where they have engagement experiences. They throw this sort of beautiful prom experience, which has been relevant to our students in the past couple of years if they didn't get the opportunity to do that because of COVID. That is a great retention-focused experience, and that community tends to stay inside of the honors community, right? What would it look like if that was more broadly open so that we could drive more traffic to the honors program, but also those people could go and find other varied ways to get engaged across campus? So how do we think about that more globally and less by these divisions, these artificial divisions that we've created at the institution?
Yeah, these are definitely things we need to keep in mind for upcoming events that we're planning, collaborations that we're doing, especially for some of the organizations on campus that we should like partner with TSAC for stuff. So thank you for the presentation, Taylor. This is really informative, and look forward to hopefully what the council can do for this semester.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, y'all. Let me know if you have any questions. Shoot me an email. I'm available.
All right, everybody. Sorry to call Sam, so we're gonna get back to you.
Cool. No problem. Yeah, just got some general elections updates for everyone. I've got the candidate packet printed. I've got a bunch of copies in the office, and I'll put some out on the table, not just on my cart. Armando and I right now are uploading changes to the website, so that'll be up and running also. I just slightly changed my tabling schedule, so I'm not double booked on Tuesdays. So I'm just gonna be in the Tivoli on Tuesdays and JSSP on Wednesdays. Amelia is tabling with me next Tuesday, so I'm good there. But if anyone else wants to help with those tables, those would be the from 12 to 3 will be the time I'm doing that. That's what I'm doing right now. As far as things we have planned for elections week, I think I'll let everyone know it's going to be a 2-week period instead of a 1-week period. And I'm in the process of working with CCD and CU to get some tri-institutional promotion, because we're all going to be doing our elections at the same time and ideally polling at the same place. And so they'll help us kind of like pull in a larger crowd also by collaborating with that. One thing, I've also got Area Votes helping with elections week promotions. And one thing that we're going to do with that is called Drag Out the Vote. So it's a drag queen comes to campus and basically advertises our student election for us for however many days we book them. So that should be a fun kind of new thing. But any other, we probably want to do a couple of other like exciting things during elections week. So I'll have more of that coming, but that's definitely that's one thing I'm considering because it seems like it'll be a good bang for our buck. I just got a bunch of snacks in the office, which I'm sure some of you saw. I will be using those for tabling. I know there's a lot, but they go fast. So I do request that people don't snack on those yet. But I'll be planning on using those during my tables and then during elections week, just to kind of help draw in a bigger crowd. I guess most of you are not running again, so this isn't as relevant, but I do also, I'm going to have a town hall like last year at the beginning of elections week. Just to kind of like centralize the event so we don't have election stuff spread out through the semester as much. And then I'm also planning a candidate social, which non-returning members could attend also. I do have that one on the schedule. I'm going to see how many applications I have at that point to decide if I'm going to go through with it yet, but that'll be my other main event I'm doing. It's just the town hall and the candidate social. I think that's everything I'm working on right now. So the main thing I need from council members is tabling if you're available. Like I said, I'm not double booked anymore, so it's not as important, but it's still nice to have a second person there and a counselor who can like talk about their experience on the council. Levi was very graciously helped me on Wednesday, so that was awesome. Yeah, so that's that sort of stuff. And then the other thing is word of mouth is a big way this grows. So even if you're not running again, just letting other people know that applications are open, that they can come to the office or come to our website for access to that would be great. So that's the way that we get a lot of people to run. So yeah, that's elections right now.
Thank you so much, Sam, for the update. Is there any questions or comments about that?
Do you have something that you want me to post on the Instagram page?
I can send you something. I have some old promos, so I just got to update the dates for. Should I just email you that?
Yeah, just send it. I could like also help you with that too.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you, Sam. We're gonna move on to the third item. Reminder of the upcoming President Davidson engagements.
Yeah, hi folks. Next few agenda items are from me. So just as a reminder, President Davidson is going to be coming to our meeting next week. And a lot of what she's going to be addressing is the current political climate, results in the elections, and how that's been transpiring and what's really happening at the administrative level. So please know that she'll be here. Usually when she comes, you all will move her to usually the top of the agenda. You'll open up public first and then have them speak. So I just wanted to remind you all that she is coming next week, and I anticipate a lot of the things that she's going to talk about may generate a lot of conversation and questions. So please make sure that you are on time for next week's meeting.
Any questions about that?
Is this part of her like speaking tour?
This is
Or is it separate?
This is depending, I'm not sure the speaking tour you're referring to, but she wants to come at least once a semester to TSAC to talk with everyone. Now, Levi and Haley, you all are meeting with her prior to TSAC meeting. So they can bring any direct concerns or questions to you all. I know that you and Victor have met with her recently as well. So again, she's open to meeting with folks on an individual basis. This is really her opportunity to come and meet with the whole council.
Great. Any more questions? Since Siobhan just left, we can't do voting. We'll just wait for her to come back. So we just move on to next item. The student day at the Capitol, reminder and signups.
Yep. So again, me again. The student day at the Capitol is Thursday, February 13th. It is an all-day commitment. I know Amelia has expressed interest. I know she's upstairs, so I can't confirm with her whether or not she's still available, but is there anyone else from TSAC this year that wants to do it and can commit? So I'm definitely saying, hey, I need you to tell me, yeah, I'm definitely in for that. Matt? Okay. Will?
What day was it again?
Thursday, February 13th.
That's a whole day thing, correct?
Yeah.
Then, never mind.
Patrick, did you have something?
Yeah, so that's gonna be February 13th all day from like what time to what time?
From the times, I'm not 100% sure, but essentially it's going to be like a 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. to like 3 p.m., 4 p.m. kind of thing. And you'll get a chance to meet with some legislators. You'll get a chance to watch a legislative session. It's an interactive day. It's not like you're just walking around the Capitol building randomly and just, yeah, there's structure to it.
Oh, well, yeah, I would like to sign up then.
We also, sorry.
Okay, quick question. What's the like deadline for someone to tell you they're interested in meeting?
Preferably end of day today. If you can.
I need to talk to the teacher real quick.
Okay.
Can I give you a response Monday?
Yes.
Thank you.
I will do that for you.
I appreciate that. So not for me.
If you asked for it, I would do the same thing.
Did you have some-
I also, we also have an event on that Thursday, and I did get your availability on that Thursday. That does might conflict. Unless, I don't think I want to move that event. It's already confirmed.
We confirmed it today.
Matt, does that change any of your availability?
Well, I would want to make sure that that's also covered.
Yeah. Okay, so Susanna, what's our coverage for that so far?
Checking that
And I did put my availability for that time.
Yeah.
Says, on the 13th, I have 3 people from 8:30 to like 4 to 10:30, and then it goes, and last person to sit down is 1 person.
Yeah, which.
Yeah, because I have class during that time too.
I mean, folks leave early from the day it happened. You're right down the road, so I'm not too worried about that. But I agree. I don't want anyone to double sign up or anything like
Yeah.
that.
So if you all are interested in going to the Capitol, let me know that I could see the availability and reach out to people. I just prefer that you guys don't, because this is a commitment that is already set in stone and said yes to. So,
No, it's remember, what we talked about last meeting on last Friday is that, if you're going to say yes to an event, please commit to it.
Patrick, does that change your availability for the day of at the Capitol, or have you signed up for the event on the 13th too?
he have signed up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I voted in for that. I did. I think it does.
I'd be
Maybe I
willing
did at
to, I'd be willing to stay back and make sure this event goes if someone like Patrick wants to go. I've gone to the Capitol before.
Sure.
So if it's somebody who hasn't had as much experience like that, I would be more than happy to step back, focus on this and let those other people go.
No, you did sign up.
I've even organized the day at the Capitol.
Patrick, thoughts?
But Patrick was the one that said he can't make it, so he would still go to the Capitol. He's the
Oh,
one
okay.
that said that can't make it on Thursday.
I don't know if you heard that,
Usually I
Pat.
was gonna work those days. Yeah, usually work those days, but just like Will, I'm just gonna email the teacher and my schedule on Thursday specifically is a little bit more.
Can
I'm
you
not
speak a little
flexible.
louder? I think we have a hard time hearing you.
Is this better?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I was gonna say Thursday's a little bit, I just have to like confirm. So I'm just gonna probably end of the day today, I'll make sure.
That's fine. That's fine. And again, I'm not putting any pressure on TSAC to commit to this. I just want to make sure that if there are folks who are interested, that they have an opportunity to go.
Yeah, if anyone has any more questions or maybe they get free up, want to take the offer, please, contact Stephen about going.
Again, I'm more than happy to be the person to be at this whole event if somebody does wish to kind of take off and do that.
Yeah, get with Matt if you're interested. We move on to the previous item on our agenda. Selection for the day of the delegates who are in, either February 7th or 14th, and if we're gonna have food.
We can't vote right now, but I will say I
We
would.
can vote. You have 6 people.
Sean came back, she just stepped out. And Patrick's online.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yes, we can vote. I stand corrected.
I know addition's hard.
But in regards to this discussion, I would like to point out, or at least try to push for the 14th. The reasoning for that for me is I think we need to have a constitution ready for the delegates and ourselves.
All right.
Cause the 7th is next.
Friday.
Jeez, yeah. And we're not even halfway through with the whole council. I don't have I don't know if we'll actually get through all of it in that special session based off from the last one. Doesn't give me the confidence that we'll be able to get through the whole document. So I don't want to put that pressure on me and Matt to make up that time. So that's why I would argue for the 14th.
That's fine. We're planning to schedule a training on 14th anyway, so that could work just fine. If you all want to do that.
So, just so you know, we're just voting on the day for the delegate training and swearing, or not swearing, or training, the delegate swearing, either the 7th or the 14th.
About me these days. What about, like, which day you want to do it on?
Which day we want to have the delegate swearing.
Oh, I was just saying I was pushing for the 14th.
Yeah, we'll make an argument we should push to the 14th because we have too many things we have to take care of, such as Constitution and some other stuff. Plus, next Friday, we have the president come to our session.
I'll trust your judgment then.
Does anyone have any counter arguments or? No? All right, I make a motion to vote for the 14th being the day we swear in the delegates. All opposed? Any substantions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. February 14th is the day we're gonna swear in the delegates. All right, next item on the agenda is update on delegate training and tasks for counselors.
Yep, so again, this is me. Hi, everyone. And, can I go do these, man? Or-
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We take care of that.
Okay, thank you. So we're gonna train on the 14th as well, so that lines up really nice. However, what I'm wondering is, or what I really need from you all is these delegates are gonna come on board and they're literally gonna start after they're sworn in on the 14th. They're gonna be exposed to different committees and all, and they'll be able to approach folks, but if you have specific tasks, projects that you would need a delegate to work with you on, or you want assistance with, now is the time to let me know. So, if you all by next Friday, let's go with the next Friday, the 7th, can send me either projects or need or things that you would want delegates to help you with, I would very much appreciate that. And that goes for you too, Sam. You can, yes,
End of day Friday.
end of day Friday, yes.
I have something for you.
Wait, for me or,
Yes, for your program.
okay,
For the program, yes.
okay.
Caveat for the SAM part,
Is it? Correct.
Yeah.
That's the only caveat, yep. And I trust Sam,
Yeah.
Sam can address that.
he's already kicked me away from tables.
It's important.
Everybody's leaving.
9:60.
Wait, are we on an intermission?
No, we're in the game.
Oh, oh, okay.
So
Pushed it back.
It was an option though.
Do we want to finish our constitution first?
But we're finishing the Constitution next Tuesday, and then we were gonna swear them in on Friday.
Ideally, but that doesn't mean it's gonna come through anyways, but
Any questions about us choosing the day for swearing? Please talk to Will about it. To move on, does anyone have any more comments, questions, or concerns for Stephen about the delegate training and tasks?
Will they be going through the same thing that we did on Canvas?
great question. So essentially, the way it's going to work is that we're going to select specific Canvas courses for them to do ahead of time. They'll have to do that prior to the. And then from there, then we'll host the in-person training. And in that in-person training, that's where I'm hoping to be able to say, here are some opportunities that counselors are in need for assistance. Like, I don't know, maybe, Sam, I'm going to use you as an example. If they're not planning on running for TSAC next year, maybe Sam needs some help and support sitting at tables. Maybe Susanna, we can then say, hey, we need event coverage for this. I need some help planning food for finals at the end of the semester. I know one of the things that we'll probably put on is our little inauguration ceremony as well. So those are all things that I could think of off the bat. But as what I'm asking for by end of day next Friday is if you all have those specific things based on projects, committees, or different TSAC related things that you're working on, let me know so I could present that to the delegates if they have interest in that.
Matt?
But also, if we put some of the different committees or meetings we go to as potential shadowing opportunities.
That works too. Yep. Love that.
Any more questions or comments? No, we'll move on to next item on our agenda, the Lane
Yes.
conference and trip.
Okay. For most of the fall semester, we talked about TSAC doing some professional development. And there is really only one other student government in the country that has a similar model that you all do. It's at Tulane University. So rather than spending thousands of dollars to go to a conference that student governments sort of are normalized across the country, Armando and I thought it would be really great for you all to have an opportunity to see how another student government of similar structure and nature functions. So essentially, what we're looking to do is we are looking to take TSAC on this conference. The dates for this, we would be leaving Denver on Saturday, March 22nd, traveling to New Orleans. This is the week of spring break. And then we would be returning either the end of day on Tuesday, the 25th, or sometime on Wednesday, the 26th. So I'll say that all again. This conference would be sort of something that Armando and I, as well as the advisor down at Tulane, would be putting together. And we'd be leaving Denver on the 22nd of March. And we'd be returning the evening of Tuesday, the 25th, or sometime on Wednesday, the 26th. Now, they have a relatively big council. So I don't want to roll up there with, let's say, me, Matt, and Will just showing up, because that doesn't really bode well.
Sure.
We'll take them on.
You got it. Not that I'm opposed to going to New Orleans with Matt and Will, but ideally, what I would like to do is present this as an opportunity for the entire council as well. Okay, so here's what I need from you all in this moment now. I need to know who is willing and able to go on this trip, because I want to have a relatively large delegation there. And again, if folks are unable to do it, I want to give this as an opportunity for delegates to also come too.
I was just gonna ask about
Yeah.
that, yeah.
That was floating in my head.
Amelia,
Always the question.
that's okay.
Is there a capacity for delegates, and like, is there like a, hey, we can take this number of TSAC counselors, this number of delegates?
Great question. Ideally, I want to take about 10 total individuals. Now, there are 10 counselors. I anticipate that not every counselor will be able to go. So if I can take 10 in total, that to me is more manageable. And the reason why I say that is this is a cost that comes out of TSAC. So you would not have to pay any out-of-pocket costs for this. This would all be paid for by TSAC. We would pay, TSAC would pay for the flights. We would all meet at the airport. I would be the person traveling with you all down there. And then we get there, we'd either stay in a hotel or a couple Airbnbs. And then we would travel back all together as well. So that would be the structure. During the day, we would have various workshops and sessions that we would lead with the Tulane staff, with different Tulane counselors in terms of their student government structure as well. So the days would be packed relatively well. And then we would also have social opportunities as well outside of just business as usual. And you all would get a chance to sit in on Tulane's actual TSAC meeting, which would be really great, we think. So again, what I'm really looking for today is I do need commitments today, because if not everyone is committing, and I know there are some folks that are not here and I could reach out to them separately, but I need commitments today because I need to start booking flights, gathering all of that information. Michael.
Well, so I have a comment on this. Comes from two places. I cannot commit to this trip. I have other plans for spring break. My final semester in the university. I'll be at a beach somewhere.
Okay.
I bet you.
Yes, but I do think for continuity, and I do think for the people who are staying on should absolutely go. If you're running for council again, I think this is a great way to introduce you to TSAC, and a great way to kind of learn, especially delegates who are looking at running as well. I think
This is open to delegates.
This is, yes. So I think those are people who take absolute priority. But I think as many people as you can, as someone who's been for 3 years, I don't think it makes sense for me to go on a trip that I'm graduating in spring. But I think that's just my thoughts on it.
I'll clarify, Dr. Barone. We are trying to fill it up with as many counselors as possible. We want to take at least 10. If we don't get to that 10 number, ideally, we're open. Armando and I discussed the openness to taking a couple delegates.
Point is, I can't attend, but the main point is I can't commit to that, so.
No, Michael.
You just say I'm not.
No, me.
Well, that's
Siobhan, you can't commit to it? Okay,
No, I got to tell you the reasoning after,
Okay.
but yeah,
we can talk later.
Patrick, did you have something to say?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna accept it, but also I wanted to know as far as like budgeting for that. Have are we gonna find that out today, or so we can, because as you said, it's gonna come out from TSAC's budget, so it's gonna, right?
Yes, so ideally, if we can figure out how many folks today can commit, and then we can then see if we have a good amount, if we're gonna open up to delegates or we're not, and then what other funding sources we're gonna need. So I should have clarified, Patrick, it's not just TSAC. We may look at student org funding through CMEI. We may look through student travel fund. So there are other opportunities to do that. But again, taking a delegation of 8 to 10, that's fairly significant cost.
We've done some
Okay.
budgeting and we did some analysis to see like an estimate. It's going to be costly, but we think by tapping into all of those sources, that will be okay.
Yeah. Patrick, is it safe to say that you're interested and can commit?
Yeah.
Excellent. Who else? Levi?
I would be able to.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Susanna? Will?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I think I'm gonna be working that weekend, so.
No.
No, not for this, for my other job.
No.
No.
Amelia?
I have, so I know you said you want definitive answers
I need definitive, yes.
by 5 PM today.
I'll take 5 PM today.
Okay, then I can't because because I am scheduled to present at a conference the 27th through the 30th. However, the funding is through the National Science Foundation.
Sure.
Funding just got shut down. So I don't know if I'm gonna be presenting or not.
That's the 27th or the 30th, right?
Yeah, but if I were to get back, then that would be my.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you'll be like.
Stay at the airport.
So, Matt, did you have something?
Or you can fly from New Orleans to wherever you.
That's cool.
Yeah, Matt, did you have something?
Well, would Brendan be able to?
Yeah, we'd be open to Brandon as well. I can't.
Simplifies things, huh?
All right, and then real quick, Jamana, you got something to say? No? All right,
I still need to check with Haley and Victor and who else is in here today? It, right?
Yeah.
Mike's here.
Patrick's not here.
Well, Pat's here. He's online.
It's joking. All right, then, does anyone have any more questions or comments for Stephen for the trip?
You got, just quick recap. You got what, 6 to say yes to?
5 right now. Still have to check with Haley and Victor.
Okay.
All right, then, if that is all, we'll move on to next part, which is gonna be flowers for friends. I guess it will. Do you have it? Oh. Do you have the document?
Did we do the day of the cap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Susanna, are you able to send a resolution to Brandon?
Yes.
Brandon?
Let's see, if you have questions about the capital. This,
Are you in the PR committee, Brandon?
yes.
It's in the PR committee. I got it, copy. Copy. Okay, I just sent it to you.
This put in the group chat too, though,
In the PR committee?
in the group chat.
Did you send it to
Chat.
the group chat for the council?
I sent it to Brandon Pacific.
Because it should be posted in our group chat.
Okay. I just sent it to the group chat too.
Better email, I'm so sorry.
Everything good to go? All right, so this is a resolution for an event we want to sponsor as TSAC called Flowers for Friends. It was authored by myself, Susanna, Haley, and Amelia, and I'm endorsing it. So basically what it is, to foster engagement for February. Wait, Matt?
You can't read this.
No?
Because you're one of the authors. As the chair, you can't read it. You need to pass it off to one of the other authors or somebody else.
Mike, read it.
Okay.
All right, let's test my counteract skills. To foster engagement in the community, we have at MSU, TSAC will conduct an event to coincide with the upcoming holiday of Valentine's Day. This event will be called Flowers for Friends, an event that TSAC tables that involve selling candygrams and flowers to students, an upcoming holiday to further engagement, be a platform for TSAC, and raise money for student emergency funds to help during the semester. All right, just scroll down. Whereas to get both new and current students more involved on campus and promote closer relationships, TSAC decided to use Valentine's Day, the upcoming month of February, as an opportunity to create environments to foster relationships among the students by holding a event called Flowers for Friends. Whereas Flowers for Friends is a tabling event that will be selling candygrams and flowers to students for Valentine's Day. The items are being sold are candy with a card to the student to buy or to give away, which costs $3. Two types of flowers, roses and carnations, will cost $5 each. If a student wishes to purchase a flower and a candygram, they can get it for $7. The proceeds of this event will go towards the funding of MSU Denver Emergency Fund.
Good, Mike?
No, really dyslexic, so this is hard to read. The money raised from Flowers for Friends will go to Student Emergency Fund, which will help students later in the semester should they need a rise. Additionally, TSAC will match the money raised from the event to donate to the Student Emergency Fund, whereas the Friends for Flowers will also be used by TSAC as a platform to talk about TSAC's activities and inform them on various projects and committees that TSAC is involved in, such as the delegate program. Whereas to adequately advertise Flowers for Friends, TSAC will promote the event through posters, social media, and word of mouth, whereas the flyers will be placed in the Tivoli across the area campus, and the tabling event will be in the Tivoli building, enabling TSAC to reach most students. Therefore, be it resolved, the student government, the Student Advocacy Council will sponsor the Flowers for Friends event. This project will take place on February 11th and 13th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Levi Chi, Susana Villa Gomez. Also, Matt, you got it wrong. He can read it out. He just cannot lead the discussion.
Oh, then I
You're
apologize.
incorrect.
Apologize.
How are you doing? Does anyone have any questions or comments about that? Matt?
Do we want to put a dollar amount for the matching? Like the up to like we did with AHA Week? We said we'd match up to $1,000 of the donations. Or do we want to leave it that blanket open?
Would we be able to match it?
You just have to make an amendment to it. You have to vote to make an amendment to it.
I don't know that you all can just redirect funds to the emergency fund like that, because it's considered like scholarship dollars. You can't just do that. You can buy like the materials and the things to do this, but you can't just reallocate funding like that to the emergency fund.
Well, I would.
That's fair, yeah.
Amelia?
I would really like to figure out a way to. The emergency grant runs out of their funding instantly. So like for fall of 2024, they ran out of their funds in October. That's really, really quickly. And I'm a recipient of the emergency grant, which is how I was able to stay in school when I was unhoused. And so I would like to figure out a way to at least try.
Yeah, well, it's a policy. It's like a fiscal policy that you all can't just reallocate your funding as student fee funding to pay for like scholarships and grants and things like that. It's not like a rule, that's my rule. It's just a fiscal rule that the university has that you just can't reallocate funding like that.
So then who would you suggest we talk to?
We can talk offline about that, but it would probably, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
And then like, if we can't use, our funds to get the materials, would that lay off the event?
No,
you
No, you can.
Okay.
It's just
You
us
Can't, like,
donating, right?
yeah, you
We should
can't
have-
just reallocate that budget to the emergency fund, but you can pay for things for the fundraiser and do all of that. Absolutely.
Okay.
So yeah, do we want to we have to make an amendment, I guess, unless everyone's okay with it right now as it is to pass. Remove the proceeds will go to the emergency fund or the DSAC will match to the emergency.
I mean,
Well,
since we have this event coming up, what, next week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks from now. I want to pose a question as to what is the likeliness we'll be able to solve something within that's policy wide, university.
Well, do we even have the capacity to match? Because the proceeds, it's my understanding, the proceeds can go,
Yes, absolutely.
but our budget cannot go.
Right.
So do we even have the budget to match it?
No, which is valid. I'm just saying, like, I'm more for striking that out of the resolution here. But
okay, well,
unless we can figure a way, like you're saying, to potentially do that within 2 weeks.
in the interest of having a passing today and to kind of get things moving. So real quick, I wanted to motion the vote to extend the meeting for 15 minutes to 1:15.
I second that.
All right. All opposed? Any abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome,
Aye.
meeting extended. Now, Patrick?
Yeah, just quick. So are we gonna hold it so people can buy the cards, like order them and ahead of time and then we'll order in their stead? Or are we gonna have the supplies ready and then they buy it and then we hand it out? Like, how's that gonna?
It's gonna be the latter.
A ladder?
Going to be, we're gonna have the for the stuff for them to buy it and for them to give it out. We're not gonna take orders or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we did have an idea initially when we first proposed this resolution, but then we thought about the logistics of it. And it was basically too complicated for us to really get into. So that's why we decided to just have it there and for them to buy it and then they would themselves would deliver it. Yeah, I'll make a motion to add a friendly amendment to this resolution to strike out TSAC will match the proceeds.
Second that.
You,
All opposed?
Did you want to say something?
can you repeat that?
I'm making a motion to add a friendly amendment to strike out the TSAC will meet the money that were raised from the proceeds.
But if you do that, would that have that potential to change if in the very,
If we vote on it now, no.
Unless you want to bring up the resolution again in another meeting.
Well, we do postpone this, it will probably won't be able to have that back.
I understand. University policy is not something that just changes willy-nilly, and very flexible. But I think for myself as a fairly optimistic person, I would be curious just to see what that conversation would even look like. So I would be worried if we completely removed it, then what that would look like if there was, because budget meets next.
Mike, then Will.
Oh, sorry.
so this is the same issue we had with the food pantry and the debacle that happened with that. A lot of misinformation on that part, but it,
I don't know about that.
I do. But the reason, this is just to have the event. This does nothing to do with budgets. So in our rules, we need to sponsor the event to have it. We can, like, depending on the money that's made, we can talk about how to work around that policy afterwards. That's a conversation I've had multiple times that I've done almost recalled for, but it's a type of conversation that I'm willing to have with you, but it's not as easy. It's
Work around the policy, you're
just to
saying.
work, yeah, it's easier to work around the policy than get stuck in no man's land with the policy. Makes sense.
Well,
So
I will say this won't be the only event we throw, so going forward, we can still do that. But also, there is a timeline set on this and figuring that out, like you said. I don't know, you see it happening within 2 weeks. And I was, yeah,
I agree, but I think if we have the capacity to try, then we should. Like,
I'm not saying don't try.
okay,
I'm
right?
saying we have to meet a timeline and there's other things on
other
the
avenues we can work on.
Matt,
So the other thing to think of is we can pass this today, say magic happens and you can figure out that it changes within the next week. We can pass an updated resolution next week before the event to modify it.
That's the way to do it.
So this would keep it live and we could potentially still change it, but then not losing potentially everything by just waiting on it.
no, I don't want to wait on it. I'm just,
Or the yes and kind of thing, not
so then what
One or
would be
the
the
other.
process for that if magic happens?
you propose a new resolution next week, just modify the event.
Because you're the co-chair.
So basically, if you do find something by next week, you can add a proposal to change the resolution. So yeah, well,
I don't. I was saying what I was gonna say, sorry.
I think you will. I would say, so yeah, for the resolution or amendment.
The amendments.
Okay, so yeah, make a motion to vote to pass a friendly amendment to strike out the part where it says TSAC will match the proceeds.
You already made the motion. You just have to call the vote now.
Yeah, we seconded.
Yeah, he's.
I just want to make sure, because everyone keeps interrupting. Anyways, all opposed? Any abstentions? Is that a hand up or? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right,
Aye.
resolution, or the friendly amendment has passed. So yeah, we're gonna strike out in it that says, TSAC will match the proceeds.
You're saying. I know there's nothing you can do about it, but it makes me upset. Because we have money and they don't.
It's a bruising battle.
And I sit on university policy and university budget.
We've
I
been
know.
just.
I'm not drinking.
Write it with your email.
With my email?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, they're coming after 2.
They like to bitch. We're very positive there. We're all very positive.
So take out
I
the-
thought she could grab it. I guess you could. My farewell speech chat, I was where it should be.
I can try it again.
Who has that?
So,
It's a community.
all right, to keep things moving, we'll now make a vote to pass a resolution, Flower for Friends.
I second that.
It's like housing.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
but they cover a lot.
Okay, so yeah,
So cool way to do it.
Matt. Amelia. Here, let me restate it. I'm making a motion to pass a resolution, Flowers for Friends.
So moved.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
resolution is passed. Thank you, guys.
Good job.
It has fun.
All right, Next item on, for news bit, or the very last one for new business is the vote to extend the meeting times.
Oh, yes, I put that in there. I've just noticed a trend with almost every meeting, we have to extend on it at least 15 minutes. And I think just so we avoid taking up time trying to extend meetings every meeting, we should just extend the meeting times in general. What that looks like, I don't know. I feel like should be up to the council, however long you think it should be extended, whether it be 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever.
Real quick, I want to open discussion to either, because some of the issues that we might face if we do extend the time is that we do have to have these rooms in advance. And the longer we do, the harder it is, especially when they have, like, for example, the board meeting. Sometimes if we run a little longer, it could go into other events or other organizations renting the room. So it's kind of the complications around that. Additionally, I wanted to pose to all of you whether you would prefer either 15 minutes, which would take it to 1:15, or 30 minutes would take it to 1:30. Mike?
So I have a feeling these agendas aren't always 10 items long. I think 15 minutes, that's fine. I mean, we're basically done with the new business and now we just move to committee announcements. And then the policy should just be brief updates unless it's something big. So I think 15 minutes is fine. I don't think I've interfered with any booking rooms either.
Well,
I would also argue for 15. That seems to be the trend. You stay in next for 15 minutes, almost every meeting. That being said, you said the cons of the extending past 15, I would say. And one pro though is if we do it at 30, we can always end meetings early. So there's that to think about. I'm not saying we should go with 30. I'm just saying there's also that to think about.
Does anybody else have any arguments? Stephen?
This is not an argument. This is just something as you all consider it. Again, 15 minutes is fine. Some agendas may be longer, some may not be. Build in the buffer now, doesn't mean you have to have it. So that way you have the 2 hours done, sealed, and that's it.
And like you, to comment on Will's point, you said we can extend it to 1:30 and then always end it earlier. We also extend it more if we have it for 15 minutes.
Sorry, point of clarification.
You're saying if we had 1:30, we can end it earlier, but I'm arguing the opposite, where if we have, go to 1:15, we also extend it.
Then we would, if we have to extend it again, then that would have pointed that we should have voted for 30 minutes instead of 15 is my counter argument.
Matt?
I think kind of what Stephen, or at least what I picked up from what Stephen was saying was if we go 30, doesn't mean we have to end at 30.
Right.
We can always end earlier, but it's again that buffer zone.
Okay. So if there are no more questions or comments about it, I would make a motion to extend the meeting time to 50 minutes. So instead of the meeting's running from 11:30 to 1, is it run from 11:30 to 1:15?
So moved.
Somebody has to second it. Oh, that's the second.
Second?
Did you make the motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Speak up, man. All right, all opposed? Any abstentions? All in favor, say aye. Sorry, already passed. So yeah, it's passed. Meetings have extended to 1:15.
Okay.
All right. So that's all we have. Any questions, comments, concerns from anybody? All right, then, we're gonna move on
Thank
to,
you. I think whoever, maybe it's Brandon, can you please work with Armando or whoever around the room reservations and make sure that there aren't any issues with that? And if there are, finding an alternative space. Thank you.
any more questions or comments? Okay, we are moving to board and committee announcements and updates. Mike, do you still want to go last?
I mean, there's something right here. I thought the meeting would be a little longer, but it got done quicker, so.
Yeah,
Shall I go? Sure, I'll go. So I was, done with 2 long meetings over the course of the last few days. Board level interesting things to know. I want you guys to keep this in mind. One thing that the university is facing in like the far future, 2040, there's supposed to be a major enrollment decline of like closer to 30-40% across the board. That's, I don't know who's projecting this, but this is something that the board's paying attention to and how to mitigate that decline going forward. And a lot of the work that we do right now centers around buffering and kind of reinforcing our barriers on that. So just something to keep in mind, it's way in the future, but that's what is projected. Budget committee, student housing has been approved and we'll start building process here in May. Groundbreaking will start in May and then it's projected to be done end of 2027. Along with that, C2 Hub project that will be building as well, will be approved as well, the new daycare. So lots of really great things there. The pool, this is something that was brought together 4 years, 50 years ago. No, they're getting rid of the pool actually. So
We have a pool?
Yeah.
not anymore. Not anymore.
I know.
The semantics of that are painful, but
Crying.
it's being turned into an MSU specific event center. So like the chart hall that we have in Ghibli, it's gonna be our own version of that chart hall that we have specific rights to. So we book priority booking for students, all that stuff. It's supposed to be lovely. There'd be a nice lovely ball to open up that space in 2027 as well. It's very exciting. Next, university was audited. Everything was presented fairly to the auditors. They gave us a clean bill of health in terms of our budgets. Yes, so, and then next we move on to academics. We approved probably, I say 20 new programs, by like 4 majors and then minors and then different program certificates. We also got rid of a handful of smaller programs that do not have enough enrollments. They're in the 1% in terms of what these are. I can get you all this later, but they're being phased out as move through the years. There's a significant increase in certificates. That's very popular now. People not going to college for a degree, but getting a certificate in like hospitality, bartending, all things. They're seeing a major uptick in those. Enrollment is up and projected to be up around 2-ish%. Come the fall, we're almost up to 18,000 students. When I got here, we're at 16,000 about. So we're getting back up to where we're going. What else? It's gonna be a tough budget year this year. The governor's updates projected that less than 1% would go to higher education increase. So that's 0.8 million. The schools get together and give the governor a projection. Their ask was 80 million. So that's quite a far reach. So we have nice things. We have a really nice legislative team here and lobbyists who can really vouch for the university and board members who really advocate for us. University commitments in the face of the new political climates have been awesome to witness a lot of recommitments to DEI, to our cadre values. We're a very unique university, and I think we have a board that is more, and a president that is more than prepared to deal with the executive orders coming down from the federal government. One thing I want to put together is the main thing that's at risk for us is grant funding, federal.
Yeah.
So you saw it could be paused like at a whim. A lot of our students use federal funding. So right now we're currently assessing how big that risk is for us because those numbers aren't on hand at the moment and how it would affect if suddenly that pipeline got cut off like that. So other projects on campus, in addition to the C2 Hub Housing Event Center, there's gonna be a new Health Institute Tower on campus as well. That's really exciting to see. AEC has its own projects. The Tivoli is gonna be reimagined. It needs to be upkeep, and they're looking to make it a better student union as it is. And then they're also adding a safety building. The police force that's in the admin building will be moved into this safety building along with different classrooms such as that. Yes, so that's all the big high level updates I have for y'all. Any questions? Millie, you have some questions I hear.
Do you know how the Health Institute was funded?
Yeah, so federal, so state funding actually does a lot of these. They have these projects. And also it received, it's gonna be, I forgot what their name is, but they're a philanthropic couple who invested a fair amount, donors who invested in the university. The institute will be named after them.
Okay.
Yes,
So it was external funding.
yes.
Okay. And then can you explain what this safety building is going to be?
So it's building on campus. It's gonna be two parts. So the police force has a really small kind of center in admin building,
Mhm.
which to me has always been kind of weird because that's the business building. I know why it's there.
Yeah.
It's also gonna have, it's gonna house, it's be split in half between them and then also classes for, I think, political science department.
Criminal justice.
Criminal justice.
Criminal
So,
justice, but it's not just looking at public safety broadly. So criminal justice, potentially some other academic departments will
Yeah.
also be in there and have classes in there as well. So potentially social work, and other departments like that, human services that are doing public safety work, our fire, is it called the firefighters, like they have a fire program, paramedics, like all of those public safety.
So they're all just gonna be now housed into one spot?
Not
Correct.
necessarily, but there will be a presence of those types of
yeah.
disciplines.
And one issue is the police force is kind of spread out and doesn't have like a centralized location on campus. So with them having a centralized location, it kind of makes it better for everyone else involved, I'd say.
Do you know where it's gonna be?
Over here on Seventh
Yeah,
Street,
7th Street.
over there.
I don't have the blueprints in front of me, but I know it's.
No, but I'm just curious.
Seventh Street by the seventh, like across over by where the admin building is, but somewhere over there.
Or that empty space right there.
Yeah.
That field over there.
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
So
Do you know how that project was funded?
I don't know. That was funded, that's an AHEC project. That's not, I'm not privy to.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Do the budgetary things, just.
I was gonna say real quick, everyone, I want to make another vote to extend the time by another 15 minutes.
You should just say.
Yeah, I make a motion to extend the time by 15 minutes.
Second.
All right, all opposed? Any abstentions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Awesome.
Thank you, Mike.
It's worth saying, the way these are all being funded, students will not be affected at all. Like
Yeah.
fees will not go up, tuition's not gonna go up. Well, tuition might go up for different reasons, but
Yeah.
the students are not, it's resurfacing of debts. It's also bonds getting better, bond fees getting better, and then philanthropic donations and then state funding. So students aren't being affected by any of these, which is
Capital projects.
a major win. Because that's not usually how things go. So major. Any other questions?
Yes, just
Mr. Coates?
one. You said that space where the pool is MSU only, you said.
So it's co-owned by AHEC and MSU, which is better than fully owned by AHEC. But we have priority over the events that are in there, priority booking over things in there. Yeah, so like, you know how CU has kind of big rooms on their side of sliver of campus? Well, this one will be ours specific.
So it is
Yes, they'll AHEC will maintain and upkeep it, but MSU is putting the money in to renovate it.
okay. Thank you.
Thoughts, questions, concerns? Cool.
All right, then we'll move on to the next one for SACAB, Matt and Victor. Victor's not here, so just on you, Matt.
No whole lot going on right now. I'm meeting with Ray of Sustainability today at 3. For example, the idea to do a service day with all 3 student governments. And she wants to talk about other stuff more specific to SACAB that I don't know yet. We haven't met. But more bigger update next week, though, and not much this week.
Questions or comments for Matt? All right, then we're gonna move on to the accountability committee with Will and Matt.
Awesome. Updates from the committee. We had a great meeting. I think we got through a big portion of the Constitution the other day. Just a reminder for the whole council that we do have that special session on Tuesday, 5 p.m., which was voted on. If you can't make it, just let me, Matt, and advisor know. And yeah, I am excited to see you guys there.
Pat?
Please, we sent out the Constitution again. Please make comments before said meeting.
Yes.
Devon?
Oh, I will, just directly from, so on Tuesdays, 5 o'clock, I have class 5 until 8:20 every Tuesday.
That's a,
When you can't make it.
that's okay, yeah. Thank you for letting me know. Oh, yes, and Steven, I'll get with Steven about large pizza.
Him and I talked about it. He will be buying you all. Taking care of it. I don't know about that.
Anyways.
Well, we can do half, but anyway.
Questions or comments for Will about this?
No, thank you so much.
Now, we're gonna move on to the next part, the budget committee with Patrick and Mike.
Hello, TSAC. All right, guys. Seems for the budget, I'm still updating everything. I'm just getting the receipts for, I put in all the receipts that we have available into the budget. As for right now, we're gonna have a pending budget committee meeting. I'm gonna schedule it for next week. So I'm gonna put in a poll for you guys. So keep an eye out that for today. Anyone that's it's gonna be a pretty busy schedule. So it's gonna be like an hour long meeting because we have a couple of requests that's going in from TSAC from different organizations. So it's gonna be I want everyone that's gonna be there so we can have a forum into our meeting. Moreover, just basic things, especially with like PR, I'm directly involved there, but with everyone that anything that we're buying, we need to just make sure you guys give me that so we can make sure that we have the funding to do all the things we want to do. We don't want to go over, or we want to make sure that everything's being spent well. We want to make sure everything's being registered, make sure that we can make the events that we want to do, or help these two organizations that we're here for. Anything else, Vice Chair?
Only thing is I will get to these gentlemen here the brief summary of the committee's roles and procedures to y'all shortly. The Constitution.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Well,
Just a quick question, Pat, when is that meeting that you need the co-chairs or the chairs of the committees, excuse me?
I will be putting up a poll by the end of today. I just need to get my shit ready after this. And yeah, I'll put up a poll there, see which days are available. I would personally rather be Monday and Wednesdays because that's when I'm on campus. So just keep in mind of that. It'll kind of be put up there around setting up those 2 days, Monday and Wednesday, potentially Friday, but the sooner the better. So most likely I'm gonna want to do for Monday. So if you guys are available then that works, but that can be something we can discuss offline.
thank you, Patrick. Are there any questions or comments for either Patrick or Matt?
You mean Mike?
Same thing.
No, I do not know.
All right, moving on to the next point, the PR committee with Susanna and Patrick.
As you all know, we have 2 events coming up in 2 weeks, the Friends for Flowers. Since we did change certain things on it, the money that's gonna be donated is gonna be fully for the emergency fund. And we have the sip and cider, but that's pretty much it.
To kind of explain further what we're doing for the Flowers and Friends, because I realized we forgot about that. So basically, we're, like I said, selling candygrams, roses and carnations. Roses are for romance, carnations are for companions. If students buy both a flower and a candygram, they'll get a discounted deal for both. And yeah, Amelia?
Do we have a tabling spot?
Yes,
Is it in the Tivoli?
yes.
Okay.
Everything have been confirmed. I really appreciate all of you guys for letting me delegate stuff to you all. It made it so much easier. So, yeah.
Thank you for delegating.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments for Susanna and Patrick?
That was some baddies.
No, we're gonna move on to the next part. Sustainability Committee with neither person here. Faculty and Staff Senate, Matt and Siobhan.
No updates. They didn't have a meeting this week.
All right, nobody. Now, open floor announcements and updates. Michael?
I forgot to say in the trustee update, we have another provost now. Provost Abrunia did resign in her role and now is tenured faculty, I believe. Matthew Bakley is a 18-year history professor, I believe. I've had great interactions with him in the week he's been on the job. So he's been here for 18 years. I think he's very talented and just looking at his dossier at work. But one thing the board was kind of told to do, whether these I'm not sure, is we've had about 5 different interim / provosts in the course of 4 years.
Not good.
That's not great. It's not great retention for that role. So
Bad.
they're gonna look at kind of the reasons why. Also because it affects students. This is the chief academic officer of the institution. It's a very big role. And it can disrupt students because everyone different directions on how to take it. So just something that's worth considering. But Matthew Makeley is awesome. I think he's great. So that's all.
Any more updates or announcements for the open floor?
That's unfortunate.
No. Amelia?
There is a letter that will be there is a letter that will be that I will be sending out for us to review in terms of you want to help me out with this announcement?
I, in coordination with a bunch of other students at all 3 universities, have written an open letter to all the administration. The primary purpose, primary principle of the letter is that we want this campus to be a sanctuary campus in light of Trump's policies for all of the affected communities. We've already had some academic departments at MSU sign on, and I would be asking TSAC to sign on to it. I can have it to you guys today.
Perfect.
Do we have like a plan of how is that gonna look like?
I'm sending it out.
Okay, thank you.
The information was sent to me last night, so I couldn't put it on the agenda,
Oh.
but the info will be sent out.
Okay, thank you.
My second open floor announcement, which is why I left to the Board of Trustee meeting, is because the Gender Institute of Teaching and Advocacy, which is known as GITA, has to move their space from Boulder Creek into Central. MSU Denver has known for 7 years that GITA has needed to move. They have had time to prepare for this. They are not prepared. They are moving GITA into a space that is not comparable to their current space and not comparable in the way to serve the students at the way that they have been now. If you've been to the GITA space, which I hope everybody at this table has been to the GITA space, you know how amazing that space is, how open, how inviting it is, and how it fosters community on a campus that really, really needs it. And so I will be writing up some things next week for TSAC to support GITA. And that's why I left to the Board of Trustee meeting. Because they are not getting the renovations that they need. Universities making that challenging. So that's the spot where we're in now. Yes.
So I did actually talk to I forget who it was at the board meeting. Before I think it was John before he left. Is his suite not comparable? Because there's talk about him leaving his suite where he is dean's suite as he is, and him moving into the AES building, I believe. Is that the suite you're referring to? That's not comparable.
No, not AES, the central building. So the central building.
He's in the central building, I believe.
Yeah, so he's moving from central to AES, and then GITA is moving from Boulder Creek into central.
Okay, so that's the suite you're referring to, right?
But it's set up like an administration office. If you've ever been in there, it's not set up like a community space.
Yeah.
And there's not a space like that on campus. There's just not. You can't. There's no way around that. And so I'll leave it at that because it's 1:24 and I don't want to I don't want to have to make you extend the meeting again.
Any more updates or anything? No? All right, moving on. Advisor updates, neither of them are here. So that is everything for the meeting.
Emergency closing.
Second. All right, all opposed to closing this meeting? Any abstentions? All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Real quick before everyone leaves, Siobhan had something to say.
Oh, it's my birthday.